This is Joe, a 26-year-old motorcycle racer from Sheffield. He's allowed me to document his season racing British Supersport. Alright Joe, let's introduce the team.
We've got Gav, which is the man, Snowy, the other man, and we've got Paul, and we've got another Paul. This ain't going right well. We've got another Paul, and we're going to nickname him Gerald, I think.
Gerald?
Yeah, and he will come into it a little bit later.
Off from signing on tomorrow.
Yeah, so we're at Brands Hatch, British Superbikes, first outing on the Suzuki 750. It's fantastic, it's hot, it's been so hot, unbearably hot. So Friday morning, free practice one, we've got the Suzuki 750, sat on warmers, we went and got the tyres on Thursday, we fueled the tank up on the Thursday as well, so it was all prepped, not a lot to do, bit of chain lubing, bit of this, bit of that. And we always like to just go through the suspension settings, make sure they are as we left them, make sure that nobody's fiddled, so that we can go into the session without any issues really, any dramas. We go up to the paddock 4 minutes before the pit lane opens, and that's just to make sure that we can get onto the back of somebody fast, like somebody on a Ducati.
What was your plan then in Q1?
The plan was just to see really where we were, because we didn't know if the bike was fast enough. So we should probably talk about the Suzuki 750. They've equalised the rules so you can run the higher CCs in the 600 Supersport class. Do you want to swap?
Right, I'll talk to this bit then. You sat on this for so long. It's horrendous.
Nice. I like this little mix-up. So the Supersport class has now been opened up massively to allow loads of manufacturers into it. How they do it is by regulating the power of all the higher CC models to make them in line with something around the R6 kind of power. So Joe's on the 750. That 750 Suzuki has had the modified throttle bodies, which is basically taking off the cables and putting fly-by throttle. What that does is the ECU can actually limit how much they're opening those throttle bodies, and that way they can limit the power that bike can produce. So basically, Joe is riding a slower 750. They also do it for the Ducatis, and the 765 Triumphs are under the same scheme. I've got a little bit of a chat with Lee earlier. Just take a look at his bike now.
Linkage is different, shock's different, bodywork's different.
What do you have to do for electronics? Is it dash and control ECU?
Yeah, so it's control ECU, it's solo, but we run Motec piggyback logger for the data. That's for your engine brake, up and down.
Yeah.
Pit lane limiter. Top one's map.
So that was Lee's bike. It's a little bit slower. We didn't know how competitive the bike was going to be with the current situation of the rules.
We'd done a test here the week before and you were good.
For a track
day time, we were pretty
good. For a track day time, we were pretty good. And I'll be honest, the difference between pushing on a track day, well, riding on a track day and being fast, to pushing in a British Superbike session is, the level of commitment is just
different gravy.
Yeah, it's above and beyond. And I haven't pushed like that in a British Championship. That part of me was a little bit rusty. I was in track day mode, I'll be honest. FP1, so we get down to the gate a little bit too late, to be fair. The session had already been going a minute.
You want to time it right so you get there and you're not sitting and letting your tyres cold.
Ideally you want to get down there just as the lights go green, but it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah,
so
1 minute in a 40-minute session, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. So we roll out onto track and I was looking for somebody to tag basically. TJ came past, I was like, right, TJ Toms is on his R6, let's see what we got. The bike felt okay, didn't feel too far off. Came into the pits because they were 35-minute sessions, so they're quite long. And I'll be honest, as much as I go in the gym, I can't do 35 minutes in that heat. Yeah, we had a sit down with Gav, and Gav was like, what do you want me to change? I said, I don't actually know what needs doing yet. I said, I think there's more in me than there is the bike, so just leave it. So we went, did a few more laps, didn't go any faster because the tyre had gone off. The best of the tyre had gone off. So we just spun some laps. The session was over. We go back to the awning and we have a good debrief. Talk about what we're going to change for the next one. So we decided that we were going to be going harder, but what we didn't actually know, or we didn't take into consideration is that the heat temperatures were going sky high.
It was so hot. I heard track temperatures 48 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely mental. I've not ridden in that heat, as far as I'm aware, ever.
It's an anomaly in UK, isn't it?
Yeah, it was rancid, wasn't
was
it,
awful.
really? It was awful. Yeah, so we went harder on the front and the rear. It was quite a big change, to be fair. Normally you change one thing at a time, and we changed 2 things. It's quite drastic. We only have 2 practice sessions, so we have to make the most of what we've got.
So you went harder on the spring, less preload?
We did go less preload, yeah. Usually when you go harder on the spring, you do drop the preload down to the middle of the road. Start off there. You never, unless you've got really good settings from, you know, years gone by, you've got to go middle of the road, work from there.
Refueled,
Yeah.
recheck all the settings between every session.
Yeah, so give the chain a lube, check it over, make sure there's no leaks. We did actually put a new radiator on because of the temperatures. We had a better radiator with a bit of a better flow because the bike was running at about 101 degrees for the whole session, and you start to lose power. So got that bled up, new tyres, in fact new rear, just a rear for the full 35-minute session. Stiffer springs, less preload, rolled out of pits, and straight away I was like, I hate it. It's not good. It's so bad. It had not been the bike that it had been in tests or even free practice 1. As soon as I rolled out of the pits, I knew that the setup was wrong. It just didn't feel like a good bike. We did the best with what we had. We couldn't change the springs in pit lane, so I went out and gave it my best shot, and I actually got a really good toe. Jack Kennedy, Rhys Irwin and Harry Truelove all in front of me. Perfect. Couldn't have been any better. They were the people that I wanted to try and get on the back of. Maybe in qualifying, but we got it in free practice 2. 4 laps on the back of them, and then they all pulled in. Came down the pits and I said to Gav, Gav, this is not the feeling, mate. I don't know whether it's the temperature, I don't know whether it's the changes, but we've not got the feeling with the bike. We were 0.2 off as time from free practice 1, and usually you'd knock another chunk off.
So what did you do?
So I sat in Jordan Bird's garage, drank some water,
Smashing.
sat in front of the fan.
That's the best garage in the whole of the paddock, isn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what? She's got this canned water. She ain't got bottles, she's got cans.
Cans of water.
High end.
So fancy.
I know.
So fancy.
Does taste a little bit weird. Can't lie. She was a bit offended when I told her that.
What, canned water? Did it taste like aluminium?
Just a bit, you know?
Just a bit.
Yeah. So second part of free practice 2. Yeah, we kept everything exactly. Oh, actually, no, we didn't. We took some preload off just to try and make it a little bit more supple. It felt too hard. There wasn't any weight transfer. It was just too hard. So we took some turns of preload off on the front and the rear. We rolled out of pits. The feeling was a little bit better with the bike. It still wasn't there, but we rode the rest of the session. I think we went out with like 10 minutes to go.
But it was so hot.
I can't describe how hot it was. If you weren't here, I can't describe. It was like sitting in Zante, like covered in hot sand, and you were just wet.
Horrible.
Like poor old Grace,
Yeah.
one of my sponsors' daughters, Grace, I took my undersuit off after the session and threw it at her, and you could see drips of sweat just dripping. Oh, it was awful. Yeah, so we got in from free practice 2. Straight away I said, Gav, we need to go back to the setup we had in free practice 1. Got to be done. And he agreed. Got the bike prep Friday night, went for the tyres, fueled it up. Again, checked it over like we do all the time, and changed the springs back to softer, and we were ready to go. So Saturday morning was a bit different. So usually, I always have like a full English, which I probably shouldn't do.
It's the worst thing you could eat before a fucking race. Okay, carry on.
But it sets you for the day.
Yeah, I bet it does.
You know.
Northerner.
Yeah, Northerner. I didn't do it for some reason. We had crumpets, which I'm going to have crumpets all the time now. Because we went out in qualifying and we set a 29.4 pretty much straight away.
Smashing, yeah. How'd that happen?
I wish that I could tell you that it was all my doing, but it wasn't. I got a really good toe. I got a really good toe off Jack Kennedy, Rhys Irwin and Harry Truelove. I wasn't looking at my dash. I said to myself, all I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the back of Harry's bike and I'm going to stick there. Because sometimes when you look at your dash, you look down and you're like, oh, I've done the time. And then everybody goes faster. So 6 laps of qualifying. We sat there, I debriefed with Gav. Gav said, do we need to change anything? I said, no. I said, leave the bike, it feels good. I'm just going to go out and give it some. And just as we rolled out, did my outlap, came across the line, and Cameron Hall, unfortunately, had a little bit of an incident into turn 1 and he red flagged it.
It's great to see Joe Sheldon-Shaw in the middle of that row, and also Lee Johnston.
I saw that it was fine, so I was quite, you know, he's quite close to the family, so I was like, Cam's cool, I'm really happy, P11 on the grid. We just got pit by Richie Cooper at the last minute. Sitting P11, so we're ready to go for the race this afternoon. Can get it.